Oh, howdy guys, it's Wyatt, and let it be known that I do indeed exist. I have my birth certificate here to prove it. Crazy, I know. The doctor immediately saw the gamer potential within me, that's code for Mountain Dew in my veins, and he wrote down that little nickname on this sheet of paper for me. I was destined for a great childhood. Hello?
Hey, it's Wyatt. I couldn't help but overhear your discussion.
Okay, first of all, we are literally states apart. What the hell are you talking about? Secondly, I'm Wyatt. You can't be Wyatt. There can't be two Wyatts.
Alright then, let's settle this. You think your childhood was so great, I think mine was even better. Whoever has the best childhood gets to keep the name. That sound fair?
Oh, you're going down, buddy. Nothing's gonna beat my eczema-filled childhood.
I've been a gamer for as long as I can remember, aka 5 minutes ago. A short-term memory is a bitch. I started out gaming on the Super Nintendo when I was 5 years old, since it was a hand-me-down from my older siblings, but then as I got older and older, I realized that games were my thing, and I wanted my own personal game consoles. This is what we call an addiction. Of course, I feel like it had to be this way. I can't really say it for sure, but I'd imagine it's hard to get into video games if you didn't grow up with them, whether it be from a lack of understanding or just pure ignorance. Look, Dad, if you think games are for kids, check this out.
And now I've been kicked out of the house because the game was too satanic. Great.
However, I think it's time that we take a look back at this childhood of mine to see what games made me into the man I am today. And that's no exaggeration. People will tell you that they watched a certain movie or listened to a certain song and it changed them forever. That's great. I see no reason video games shouldn't be right there alongside them. It's truly an amazing medium that deserves a chance in the spotlight. So yeah, without any further ado, let's rewind. As I said, the Super Nintendo was the first game console I ever laid my hands on, and there were all kinds of amazing games for this system. Like, this is genuinely one of my favorite video game consoles. I really do think that some of the best games of all time are on this thing. Super Metroid, Earthbound, Chrono Trigger. Did I have any of those games as a kid? No, I had Aero the Acrobat. This game. However, there were two games I had for this console that would pave the path I'd walk on for the rest of my life. Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country. Both amazing platformers in their own rights for completely different reasons. Don't get me wrong, I love RPGs as much as the next guy, and we'll get back to that later, but platformers are definitely my jam. It's just mindless fun. Starting my journey with these games really put me in a position of seeing video games as a relaxing pastime. If my first game was Skyrim, you bet I'd have a hell of a lot of questions. Platformers are pretty basic, I'll admit it. You run and you jump and that's about it. But as a kid, that's all I needed. These two games weren't too hard, I never felt too frustrated, and that made me like video games from the get-go. Of course I struggled here and there, but that was a lesson in and of itself. You don't always succeed on your first try. I never beat these games as a kid, as much as I tried, but that kept bringing me back. Which brings me to another thing these games taught me, the art of replayability. This is one of the big reasons I love platformers. Neither of these games are very long, so if you beat the game and like what you played, you can go back and play it again to try to do it even faster, since you know what you're doing now. Arcade games were very good at this kind of strategy, but that's because you have to keep paying money to play the game again. Having these arcadey feeling games on your home console gives you hours of replayability. Because, let's be real here, my only other games were Aero the Acrobat and Bubsy. I didn't have many other options. That reminds me of yet another thing the Super Nintendo taught me. Make do with what you're given. As a kid, you don't have that many games. I'd only ever get new games for my birthday or Christmas, which are 3 days apart anyway, so it might as well just be one big holiday for me. I played my fair share of Bubsy and Claws Encounters of the Third Kind, and it sucked ass. But I made do with it. The older I got, the better I got at swindling my mom into buying me games when I wanted them. But not everybody is that privileged, and I think everybody needs a taste on limitations at some point in their life. Sure, I could talk about all the other platformers I played soon after this, like Mario Galaxy or Sonic Colors, but there's really not much to add. I loved both of those games, and that was because of the love imbued in me by these two Super Nintendo games. I wasn't born in the 90s, but I'm glad I got to feel like I was, if only for a short amount of time.
While you were pretending to be in the 90s, I was pretending to be in the 80s. My first console was the NES, and I barely played it. I mean, I had a few games for it like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda, but I barely played any of it. I would occasionally play Mario, but that's it. My true first dive into video games came later when my uncle downloaded all 3 of the original Mario games on our family computer, with what I, at the time, thought was completely legal copies. After that, my brother, mom, and dad and I would spend hours playing Mario 3 over and over. We'd take turns and always let our mom play stages that were too hard for us to beat. Somehow it seemed as though my parents knew all the secrets, and I remember asking in each and every level if there was anything hidden I could find. You know, other than my uncle's imprisonment. I remember multiple times waking up in the middle of the night to hear Mario music playing, just to run downstairs to see my parents playing without me and my brother. At the time, I would jokingly get mad at them for playing without us, but looking back, I realized that all parents just want a little bit of alone time, just between the two of them, to play Mario Bros. After a while, we slowly stopped playing, and my mom stopped playing games altogether. I, however, still played them quite a lot as a hobby, and my dad even played Call of Duty every once in a while. But then, I got my hands on the Wii, a system known for being for the whole family. And then, I was still pretty much the only one who played it. The one big exception, though, was New Super Mario Bros. Wii that I played with my dad and brother. I have so many good memories of my dad just being so much better than me and having used the bubble constantly. It's a similar story with New Super U, which I somehow own. Why my parents decided to buy me literal garbage, I have no idea, but I will always be thankful for it. Of course, by this time, I'd been playing games for a while, and I was doing far better than my dad. Even when we went back to play Mario 3 every once in a while, my mom would ask me to beat the hard levels, which felt really cool at the time. 2D Mario games have really been a way for me to spend time with my dad, and even my mom to some extent. But my brother and I spent far more time playing Sonic the Hedgehog. We've spent hours playing Sonic 2's competition mode, and pretty much tried every multiplayer game and any Sonic game we've owned since. Even Sonic and the Black Knight's party mode, which for some reason I remember liking. I guess as a kid, I was an idiot. Thankfully, we did get a return to classic Sonic with... No, not that. No, not that either. With this, Sonic Mania. This was truly another classic Sonic game, and it even had its own competition mode. This game was yet another great time I could have with my brother. Sadly, Nintendo hasn't released any more new Super Mario Bros. Games. I don't count that one. But since they haven't, I really haven't had a game to bring to my dad and spend some time with him. So unlike most Nintendo fans, I actually do want a new Supes 5, or 6. I mean, we did get Super Mario Maker, which was literally the game of my dreams. I can still remember seeing it displayed in GameStop and just standing there, mouth gaped open, hoping that I wasn't dreaming. Of course, I wasn't dreaming, and I got the game for Christmas. It was the #1 thing I asked for, and thankfully, I got it. My brother did get some game for Xbox though, so I had to wait for him to finish playing that before I could play my game. Looking back, I realized that I could have just played the game on Gamepad, but like I said, I was an idiot. So instead, I just looked through the inspiration book over and over again. When I finally got to play it, I played it all of the time, and probably made around 3 complete Mario games. I mean, I made much more than that, but I wanted to make a game with a set number of levels and worlds that would just keep progressing until you got all the way to Bowser. I even got around to making a couple worlds in Mario Maker 2.
It's 2013 and I've had a 3DS XL for a few months now. I've been a fan of the Pokemon anime for years at this point. I'd watched the first movie on VHS countless times. Wait, do kids even know what a VHS is anymore? Regardless, I was something of a Pokemon fan myself, and it was finally time for me to jump into the video games. Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 will forever hold a special place in my heart. I won't go into too much detail about the games themselves because I have quite a bit planned for the Pokemon series next year, but there's a lot for me to say here. And the first thing this game taught me was how to f***ing read. I genuinely think I learned how to read more from playing Pokemon than I did from school. Sure, this is a kid's game, but it's still an RPG, meaning there's a truckload of words you have to read to get a general understanding of the story. If I didn't start these games young, I don't know that I would have ever gotten into RPGs or reading in general. While most kids at school would always hate reading, I never had a problem with it, and I attribute that, at least in part, to playing Pokemon and getting accustomed to reading. Of course, nowadays we have the exact opposite problem, with everyone pestering Game Freak to add voice acting to Pokemon games, and yeah, I agree. I'm not saying the entire game needs to be voice acted, but if you're gonna have cutscenes in the game, give them voice acting. Seeing Pierre's quote-unquote sing in Sword and Shield while there's no sound coming out of his mouth is just not fun to watch, and that's coming from one of the biggest Pierre's fans. We touched on this a little bit in the last section, but this game taught me that it's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to struggle, which ultimately resulted in me learning perseverance. A skill that is certainly very important when you're running a small YouTube channel. Look, if you've never played an RPG before, this isn't easy. Nobody teaches you that you need to grind. You just do what I did. You walk on into the gym, get your ass kicked, and then you learn the hard way that you need to start training up. I vividly remember the exact gym that gave me trouble. It was Marlin's gym. Which, to be fair, that's pretty cool. Struggling on the final gym before ultimately coming back to succeed was an invigorating feeling for young me. Oh, and it taught me that memorization's important. Man, Pokemon's bringing all the school lessons over. Next thing you know, it's gonna start covering World War II, because that's everybody's favorite history unit. Why? I don't know, my generation's the TikTok generation. Of course they get excited for Hitler. I would say I have a generally good memory. For stuff I care about at least. And what I care about is glorified rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, I've had the type chart memorized for almost 10 years now, and it will never leave my brain. It's always interesting for me to watch people who've never played Pokemon before, because they just don't know the type matchups, and I've just forgotten what that's like. But yeah, this taught me that having a good memory is nice, because that's all school tests really seem to care about. It's bullshit, but that's besides the point. This game also taught me the power of friendship. And that's cheesy as hell, I know. But it's true, this was the first game I played that had any sort of online functionality. Being able to connect to people across the world to trade Pokemon was so cool to me, so it's no wonder I'm so deep into internet culture today. Even besides that though, this helped me with real life relationships as well. I had a packed school bus when I was this age. Elementary schoolers, middle schoolers, high schoolers, they were all on the bus together. In hindsight, that doesn't seem very smart, but we made it work. There were quite a few gamer high schoolers on the bus, and they were really nice to me and helped me out with the game. See, one really weird thing here is the Regis. They're technically not version exclusives, but they kinda are. You can catch Regirock by default in both versions, but for the other two Regis you have these keys. In one version you have the Iron Key, and in the other an Ice Key. So these keys allow you to catch the Regis, and there's a system in place where you can trade the keys to other people so they can catch the other Regi themselves rather than just trading the Pokemon. I thought it was a pretty unique idea, but they never really did anything like this again. My point is, I had the Iron Key in Black 2, so I had Registeel. But I needed the Ice Key for Regice. One of the high schoolers was a cool dude, no pun intended, and sent me the Ice Key so I could get Regice. Now, this really taught me that games could be a collaborative effort that brings people together, which I hadn't thought about before. Last thing on these games, I promise. This game taught me that if I really love a game, it's okay to spend, let's say, a few hundred hours playing it. I don't do this often. I like to play shorter games most of the time, since I play games to beat games. But if I'm really into a game, I have no issue spending a long time playing it. I did it with Persona 5 twice, and I learned this from Black 2 and White 2. There's a lot of side content in these games, from Pokestar Studios to the Pokemon World Tournament, from the dress-up shows to the Black Tower and White Tree Hollow. I literally did everything in these games because there was just so much to do and I never got bored. It's not often that I feel that way about a game today, but when I do, I know it's gotta be top 10 material. Xenoblade 3 is also up there for me. I know, it just released a few months ago, but I swear it's not recency bias. It's been a while since a game made me cry like that. RPGs are one of my favorite genres of all time, and my love for them started here. Although I don't have much time to play them anymore, which sucks. I still need to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake and Mother 3 and so many other games.
If you've got a list of RPGs to play, make sure to add Super Paper Mario to the list. It's likely the first RPG I ever played, and I loved it and still replay today every couple of years. I mean, I've started making a video about it twice, but scrapped it since I didn't like the way it was turning out. Though that game seems a bit like cheating, since it removes a lot of the things that make RPGs stand out. Its sequel, Sticker Star, brought some of those features back, but also added a lot of features that fans didn't like. So of course, I loved it. Again, idiot. One of my biggest problems with games though was actually something that you liked, the reading. I hate reading, so a game that requires you to read felt like work, or I guess since I was a kid, school. I remember playing nearly all the Mario and Luigi games as a kid, and I didn't beat a single one since I refused to read anything, and I would just eventually get stuck since I had no idea where to go. I did eventually play Pokemon as well, after facing a tough dilemma to buy a game with a weird green elf from Smash Bros on it, or the game with a big red dragon thing who I assumed was a part of the same series that little rat from Smash Bros was in. Thankfully I made the right choice and bought Pokemon, since later I would find out that Zelda sucks. Okay, I take it back. I spent hours on Pokemon Omega Ruby, catching as many Pokemon as I could. I played this game everywhere, and yes, I did get stuck at one point, but it wasn't because of my lack of reading, but instead because I couldn't read the map correctly. Okay, so it was still due to reading, but that's not the point. I tried getting every Pokemon I could, grinding in old areas not to level up, but instead just to find more Pokemon. This did mean there wasn't a challenging fight in the game though, since my Swampert would one-hit nearly anything. The game even has a ton of different legendaries to collect, and I remember finding videos online telling you how to find each and every one, just so I could set up reminders on my phone to tell me exactly when to play the game to find each and every legendary. I even have access to all 3 Regis, so no need for that stupid friendship stuff. Actually, my brother and cousin did get opposite versions of me, so I did have people to play with. My brother wasn't a big fan of the game, so I just used his copy to help myself complete the Pokedex. My cousin though, he actually beat the game, and we ended up battling each other quite a lot. Of course, I kept winning since I had better Pokemon than him, or well, I did until he got further in the game, and then got better Pokemon, and then I was just unable to beat him anymore. Something I remember getting super excited about was this promotional Arceus card that I got at GameStop and couldn't wait to use. I tried adding him, but I couldn't figure it out, so I just put it in a drawer to figure out later. When I eventually remembered and went to go try again, I found out that there was actually a due date and the promotion had stopped. So now I'm stuck with an Arceus card, but no Arceus. Since then, I've pretty much stayed away from RPGs, really only playing a Pokemon game here and there, though I still refuse to read to this day, because there's no better skill than illiteracy. I don't plan on playing many RPGs in the future, other than maybe Pokemon Arceus since it looks pretty good and to redeem myself from failing with a stupid card. But other than that, I probably won't play much else, aside from a game here and there of course. I'm not a huge fan of turn-based combat or reading, so they're just not for me. Some of them are pretty fun, like Undertale with its different style battling system, or Origami King with its also different style battling system.
Yeah, Minecraft gets a whole section to itself, because of course it does. It's Minecraft. We both had plenty of influences from this game, so it deserves its own section. For me personally, this game sparked my love for film in a weird way. I know, that's not the most conventional answer for how Minecraft changed me, but it'll make sense in a bit. I remember back in 2015, me and my cousin would do dumb roleplays on the PS3 version of Minecraft, even when nobody else was watching us. We just had so much fun changing our skins and pretending to be different characters, and eventually, I turned this dumb idea into a YouTube channel. I made roleplays, very cringy roleplays, but still roleplays, in Minecraft, and I uploaded them to the internet for the whole world to see. I had a lot of fun, quote-unquote, acting in these things, which definitely influenced me wanting to be a voice actor. Now, voice acting isn't as big of a deal for me anymore. I wouldn't mind doing it as a side hustle maybe, but that's not where my true allegiance lies. However, for many years I did say I want to be a voice actor when I grow up, so I do have to thank Minecraft for that. However, the big thing here is just the film process. I really enjoyed messing around with different camera angles to get the best effect. I just really enjoyed directing overall. Granted, I was doing this by myself and with no script. What f***ing direction was there? But I enjoyed it nonetheless. This is the same feeling I get from doing what I do now. Now, I feel like a real director, and I love it. It's really fun to operate a camera and be in control of everything. And you know what? If I didn't start out doing these crappy Minecraft videos, maybe I'd never be at this point today.
My first experience with Minecraft was at my cousin's house since he owned a copy for Xbox 360. We spent hours playing it and continued to play it every single time I went to his house for months. Eventually on my iPad I installed Minecraft Lite back when that still existed. I even remember getting super excited to buy the full version since then I'd be able to save worlds. Since yeah, you couldn't do that in Lite. I loved the game so much that it was all I asked for my birthday, and after opening all my presents and not seeing it anywhere, I almost started crying. But before I did, my mom said there was one more gift left and proceeded to hand me a package exactly the same size as an Xbox game. After opening it, I then proceeded to scream from excitement before running upstairs to my Xbox, completely ignoring my birthday party. After that, I played Minecraft nearly every day. Some days I'd even play it as soon as I woke up all the way until I went to bed, only taking breaks here and there to go to the bathroom or eat dinner. Yes, dinner, not breakfast or lunch. I would skip meals to play Minecraft. I love this game that much. Similar to you, this game also influenced me to be creative, but in a completely different way. I mean, I did pretend to be a Let's Play at first, even coming up with my own original name, Scholar Dude. Yeah, it sucked, but I loved it. I would even commentate to myself every time I played the game. However, Minecraft also introduced me to a new kind of creation through the form of adventure maps. The idea of making something that someone else could just play through was amazing. Yeah, at first my map sucked, with little to no theme, terrible builds, and for the most part, no gameplay. Yeah, I just had you walk and pretended like it was a game. Eventually, I got much better with actual challenges, ideas, themes, and pacing. I even got access to command blocks in Bedrock Edition, which only seemed to make my maps even better. Mario Maker may have been my dream game, but Minecraft is what gave me that dream. I still have the very same dream to this day. But even if you ignore how this game changed my entire outlook on life and will forever change my view on games and creativity, even if you ignore that, the amount of fun and laughter I've gotten out of this game playing with not only by myself but with friends too is more than enough to make it my favorite game of all time. And I don't think anything's ever gonna take its place.
So, you've probably played a licensed game at some point in your life. Come on, you look like the kind of person to like Garfield Kart. For me, the one I remember playing is this one Wreck-It Ralph game for the Wii. It was a platformer, I think? And you have to wreck stuff? Probably? I mean, all I remember is that it wasn't very good. But I guess my mom was like, oh, he likes Wreck-It Ralph, he'll love this game. Put that on my obituary. This game taught me a pretty valuable lesson that every parent needs to understand. I'm not saying that licensed games can't be good. I mean, look at Insomniac's Spider-Man game. This game is amazing and showed me just how good a licensed game could be in the right hands. But Garfield Kart, these are the wrong hands. If you're gonna do a licensed game, it has to be done right. You can't just slap a famous character on the box art and expect me to buy it. Alright, just this once. But of course, your mom doesn't know shit about video games, so she just goes to the store and buys what she thinks looks fun, which isn't always the case. These game companies just make terrible shovelware that doesn't deserve to walk among mankind, and then the games sell like hotcakes because, oh boy, people love Superman! So yeah, because of games like this, I'm a lot more skeptical of the games I choose to buy. Unless I know with 100% certainty that I'm going to love the game, you won't see me buying it on day one. Of course, I'm a collector. It's my job to find dumb shit like this, but that doesn't mean I'll ever play them. It's my greatest accomplishment in life, being a hoarder.
Unlike what you may think, I actually haven't played Garfield Kart. Instead, I had games like Transformers Prime The Game, which was actually pretty good. I mean, I also had Disney Princess Enchanted Journey, which I also remember being as good. Okay, I think I might be as dumb as your mom. I even got the Amazing Spider-Man 2's mobile version, which apparently was a thing. I never played the story, and instead just swung around New York. I did also get a Spider-Man game for my 3DS, which I was super excited for until I realized it was just missions and got rid of New York. Or at least I assume so. I never really got that far in the game. I also tried a few Iron Man games, which were pretty fun, but I never really got past the first couple levels. Well, of course, that wasn't until they made it into a VR game, in which case, it's amazing. You should do everything you can to try this game out. Come to my house, I'll let you play it. However, when I think of licensed games, I think of SpongeBob SquarePants. He just has so many different games on so many different platforms. From all the SpongeBob games I've played, they've actually been pretty good. My first ever DS game was a SpongeBob game called Creature from the Krusty Krab, which I actually really liked. Though because I was a kid, I never beat it. Later, I'd get games like SpongeBob Drawn to Life, Truth or Square, or Atlantis SquarePantis, and they were all pretty good games. I even had SpongeBob SquigglePants, which was amazingly a WarioWare clone. I've also heard a lot about Battle for Bikini Bottom, which I own, but I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. But if it's good, that would mean that most of the SpongeBob games that I own are pretty good games. But eventually, with all the good, you eventually find a game like Pillow Pet's Let's Play, which I also liked as a kid. Man, what is wrong with my taste?
Alright, I submitted that competition of ours to a local radio station so they can make the decision for us. And I think it's finally time to find out who the winner is.
And the winner for who gets to keep the name Wyatt is Wyatt Earp.
That's not fair, he's dead. He's not even using the name for anything.
Correct, but he grew up during the Civil War, meaning he was closer to Abraham Lincoln the Vampire Slayer than all of us combined.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. Lincoln was really cool. He stored papers in his hat.
Hi, hello, it's me, the real me, not the character I play in these videos. This feels a little weird because this is kind of a foreign concept for me. I'm not the kind of person to be like, yo, smash the like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell. I don't like to do that. It's just not my style, personally. I'm not gonna force that down your throat. It's up to you whether you want to do all that. But here, it's kind of warranted because it would be rude of me not to show support to my co-host, because if you've made it this far in the video, you're likely aware that I was not alone. So, yeah, seriously, check out Wyatt Went Wacko. He does really cool video essays, reviews, retrospectives, all that kind of stuff, similar to what I do, but of course, he is his own person, so therefore the videos are very different than mine. But if you like my content, I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy his as well. So go over there and show him some love, because honestly, I think he might deserve it even more than I do.